Hey, what's going on? This is Sports Truth. I'm your host, Jordan Harris. So, when I was growing up, I had a temper problem, bad temper. My siblings could tell you that, my parents could tell you that, my cousins, my aunts, like they could all tell you I had a bad temper when I was growing up. And I've worked on that like crazy. Now that I'm 36 years old, I've worked on it, like I said, like crazy over these years. Now I'm a business professional. I represent a lot of employees, I represent a lot of businesses. Um, and God has worked on me, obviously, right? So now I'm able to control that temper. It takes a whole lot to get me frustrated now. But somehow there is one player in the NBA who pisses me off every time I watch him play. And if you wonder who that player is, it's Draymond Green. I don't know Draymond Green personally, never met him, probably never will meet him, wouldn't want to meet him. But I could tell you, without even meeting this guy, I do not like him. I do not like him at all. Wouldn't want to meet him. Um, he consistently does cheap shots. He consistently does things to hurt his own team. But let's just go all the way back to the beginning. All right. So the first time I saw Draymond, he played for Michigan State. I liked the fact that he was an overall player. He could do a little bit of everything. He could shoot the ball from behind the 3 point line. He could play exceptional defense. He was not afraid to jump on the ball for the loose, jump on the ground for the loose balls. I loved that about him. He just looked like an ultimate competitor. Loved that. And then I watched him get drafted and play for the Warriors. And at that time, Mark Jackson was there. They started David Lee because they were prominently offensive team. So they had, the young Splash Brothers out there. And they wanted to have a little bit more offense at the four position and a little bit of the five. So David Lee played the four and the five. And then David Lee ended up getting hurt. And Mark Jackson always wanted to emphasize a little bit more defense to go along with his offense. So he ended up putting Draymond Green in to sub in for the hurt David Lee. But then since Draymond was playing such a really good, since he was putting forth so much defense and they were emphasizing defense while Draymond was in there, once David Lee got healthy, they kept Draymond in the game, right? They just kept him in the starting lineup. And that's part of what gave Draymond Green the ultimate opportunity that led him to be where he is now. So Draymond brings a level of physicality to his team. He is what most people would consider an enforcer. He brings a level of aggression and a level of a defensive presence that you really can't ignore when he's out on the floor, right? He's not just out there playing defense, but he's actually talking to his players, getting his players in the right positions and all that stuff. So I think that he is exceptional as far as a glue guy. I also believe if Draymond was not on those teams that won the championships, except for the Kevin Durant teams, because those teams were just overpowered. They would not lose. But without Draymond, or the teams that did not have Kevin Durant on there, I think if you take Draymond Green off of those teams, they would probably lose as well. I think that. So, so let's start with that, okay? I do think that he does play a really key part to these Warriors teams, but I think that he began to stick his chest out a little bit too much, and he started to think that they were winning because of him when people like me are saying that they are winning, that when people like me say that they would not win without Draymond Green, he makes people think that he is the reason that they are winning. It's totally different things there. All right, so he started to stick his chest out a little bit too much. He went from being this defensive enforcer to being this like Rasheed Wallace out of control kind of player all of a sudden. That started driving me crazy. I do like Steph Curry quite a bit. A big Steph Curry fan. I love his story, love what he's about. Big Steph Curry fan. I like Steve Kerr. I like Mark Jackson. So, am I a Golden State Warriors fan? No, I'm not. But I do like what that whole brand and that whole organization is about. So, Draymond Green just happens to come along the ride, if you ask me. And I'm watching these games because I like Steph Curry so much. I'm watching these games because I liked Kevin Durant so much. Watching these games because I like Klay Thompson so much. And in that time, I'm seeing Draymond Green do stuff that just irritates the crazy out of me. So some of that stuff, he's yelling and talking crazy to referees, barking and screaming at them. So much so that now the referees have like a different set of rules when they referee Draymond compared to everybody else. I've seen Draymond get into a referee's face like this close, screaming at him, and they still don't call a technical foul because Draymond is so out of control and so nuts that he plays on a different playing field as everybody else somehow. I've seen him pull people out of the air, which if you've played basketball, you know that is like the ultimate no-no in basketball. When a player jumps in the air, they cannot control how they're going to land and all that stuff if you're pushing their legs or pulling their jerseys. I've seen him do that multiple times. I actually had a video queued up for y'all that I was going to play, but I was like, no, I'm not even going to do that. I was just going to have all of his dirty plays. It was like a 10 to 15 minute video. I was going to have all of his dirty plays just playing while I'm talking. But I said, no, I'm not even going to do that. So I've seen him pull people out of the air. They jump, and he grabbed their jersey and just yank them down. Super dangerous play. Seen him do that many times. Seen him kick people in the groin multiple times. I've seen him come behind Rudy Gobert and put him in like a weird chokehold thing that you only would see on like a elementary school playground. Seen him do that. And now he does this weird spinning backwards dragon slap kick punch. I don't know what you want to call it. They did to Nurkic, to Jusuf Nurkic. This dude, I believe, is the dirtiest player in the NBA. I also believe that he is out of control. I don't think that he's thinking in these moments, which makes him extremely dangerous. So if you remember recently, Kareem Jackson plays football for the Broncos. Kareem Jackson got into a little bit of hot water because he kept on hitting people. He kept having like these huge hits on people where he would lead with his helmet. And it wasn't necessarily dirty, but it definitely wasn't the types of hits that the NFL wants to see. And Kareem Jackson got suspended, and I think it was for five games. And then he came in, and then like they suspended him for just those two. Even though he had a 5-game suspension, he got to come back after 2 games sitting out. And then that first game he came back, he had another crazy hit on somebody, and they suspended him for 5 more games. So people were upset about the fact that Kareem Jackson was being picked on. And that's the same thing that people are saying about Draymond Green now. It's the same thing that Draymond Green said. He feels like he's being picked on. My perspective is he's not being picked on. It's just that he's making decisions that's hurting organizations so bad that they are now saying, I don't want you to be a part of this organization because you make us look crazy. That is the stance that I would take if I were the commissioner, and that's the decision that I'm hoping that Adam Silver takes on this. I'm hoping that they suspend him for 15 to 20 games. What he's doing is nonsense. It does not make any sense at all. It's craziness. To be punching people, kicking people in the groin, snatching people out of the air, potentially hurting them, screaming at the referees, making a crazy scene when it's just like a simple out-of-bounds play that maybe the referee missed, and he's just going crazy at the ref. He's just doing way too much at this point. And I think they need to send a firm, like, I don't even know what you want to call it, but it needs to be super firm and just tell him this cannot happen again, or you have the potential of being banned from the NBA. You're doing too much. You're not as good as you think you are, and you're doing too much. Some people, I know this is another football connection, but I remember, I think it was Shannon Sharp, he was saying that when it comes to professional sports, or just about any level of sports, the coaches and the organization are willing to deal with as much, so they're willing to deal with as much crap as you are willing to put out as much glory. So if you are this great, then they're willing to put up this much crap that you're putting out there. If you think about Antonio Brown back in the day when he was exceptional with the Steelers, the dude was crazy. Like, he was in the locker room causing all kind of nonsense, but he was also that good. So it was like, we got to deal with that. Draymond Green is to the point now where he's this good, but he's causing this much headache for everybody. He's making everybody look terrible right now. Now people on ESPN are asking about Steve Kerr's leadership abilities and how he doesn't have the capability of leading somebody like Draymond Green. They're also saying stuff like Steph Curry needs to step up his leadership ability. How's he allowing a player or a teammate like Draymond Green to be such a distraction? When there's a player on my team that distracts people that much, I would be considering trading him. And if I was the organization, meaning Adam Silver, I would be really strongly thinking about sitting him down for 20 games. And if he can't figure it out from there, I'd be talking to him about potentially banning him for a season or maybe for the life of his career, the rest of his NBA career. Because the dude is just doing too much. Way too much at this point. I'm super curious to know what you all think about this. Am I overreacting? Is he behaving in a way that you think makes sense? Do you think that choking out Rudy Gobert from behind was the right thing to do because he was protecting his teammate? Do you think slapping, I don't even know if I would call it a slap. Do you think the spinning backwards dragon punch was the right thing to do against Jusuf Nurkic? Do you think that was not overreacting because Jusuf Nurkic was being too aggressive, trying to front him in a post-up situation? I don't know. But curious to know what you all think about that. Please do leave those comments in the comment section. I'm super active there. I respond to just about every single comment that's down in the comment section. And we're also working to get 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, December 31st. So we've got about 18 days or so because today is the 13th December. So help us reach that. If it did cost you anything, if subscribing to this channel cost you any money, I would not ask you to do it. It's totally free. Just push the button. It helps us out a whole lot for you to subscribe to the channel. It helps us out a whole lot to simply like the video. So that's all that I have for you today. As I always say in the videos, you could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with me, and I really appreciate that. God bless. Take care. Peace.